Actually, it is for both. We started recording. Right.
I guess.
Done.
Would you call the meeting to, no? Call the meeting to order at 6:08. We have the minutes from the last meeting.
They're instead of the board, which I apologize about. The distribution was changed with the emails, so we kind of had a little bit of confusion, so we're gonna skip over that.
But the minutes aren't done?
They're done, it's just I don't have them.
Right.
You announced that the meeting's being recorded.
The meeting is being recorded. Thought you had just done that. That's
We do
okay.
not have any members online, so no need for a roll call.
There's no need for a roll call. That's okay. All right. Alan Engineering.
The first
You here for 23 Cape Road?
No.
So,
Hello,
all
this
right,
is,
so we got a modification of 23 Cape Road. Now, I did hear some bits and pieces about this, but I never saw any emails come from us, so obviously that's probably why we didn't see any emails for the last month and a half.
Yeah, for that.
Huh? Yeah, go ahead.
hi, yes, this is Kevin Demers from Dupreet Engineering. There's basically I'm here before you, there was some peer review activity as part of the construction closeout procedure for 23 Cape Road. There were inspections from Mr. Jeff Walsh of Graves, as well as the Conservation Commission's peer reviewer, DeShang of Creative Land and Water. The main crux of the point in the one issue we found that was slightly inconsistent with the final plans is as shown. I shared my screen if you can see. The outfall was behaving, that there was a 2 foot, as opposed to 2 foot contours previously, there were 1 foot contours. 1 foot contours that were showed that there was some water diversion where the outflow was not making it to the existing drainage pipe outflow into the channel, and instead was flowing south and creating some erosion near the wetland flags C24 and C23. So that was the crux of the issue going in. So what we were proposing was a repair to that area in order to allow for less flow to be going towards the southern wetland and to restore wetland flow to the proper locations originally proposed. So therefore, we had gone back and discussed this with DeShang and our wetland scientist at the site as well, and found that a good solution was to basically propose a berm, along the south and west sides of the outfall in order to more evenly distribute the flow and not have the immediate flush of flow go toward the south wetland. Following, there's also you can see a curb weir proposed. So top of stone will be 217.5, top of curb for this weir will be at 217. And then following the overflow of the curb berm here, there will be a drop of approximately 1 foot to a 24-inch wide drop or diameter drop inlet that will get into the existing drainage pipe, and that will also help with not not eroding the area above the pipe before it gets to the channel and limit this overland flow. So this was basically repair a repair of the existing situation, which the water was running to the south. And in addition to that, we would go back and patch the eroded whole area, which we would propose an underlayment of Mirify 140N or equal, and then top it with thin crushed stone bed and surfaced by riprap stone. So this is also going to be discussed with the Conservation Commission on Thursday evening. But as far as a modification to the final planning approval, really the extent of this will be proposing this berm at the outfall and this drop inlet to the existing pipe, as opposed to previously we just had a riprap apron with overland flow, which again, due to the small small high area, the flow was being pushed south, where the intent was to get it to this wetland channelized area to the directly to the west of the outfall. So that's kind of a short short summary of what we proposed here. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Jeff, have any comments?
Last I saw, things were looking good. I know Deshane and Jeff Walsh have looked at this. I asked them to come in and present this to you. Mostly it's going to be a conservation issue, but I wanted them to come in and let you know, because it is a modification to the plan that you approved. So I wanted to make sure that this was a minor modification and that you all saw this, really.
I mean, I guess that as long as it's being addressed with the conservation agents and we in the commission, and Jeff Walsh is okay with it. I mean, as long as that's all that we're concerned about, and we don't want the neighbors are very concerned on this whole project. So yes, if we can correct any problems there, keep everybody happy in Talbot Farm and anywhere around there, me personally, am okay with everything.
I'm also confident that this is a much better plan than
Yeah.
what was had.
Yeah.
I saw the issue
Yeah.
back in the summer, and this looks a lot better.
I mean, it's been ongoing. When I was on conservation, we spent a lot of time down there with erosion problems. So I'm glad to see that everything's being resolved. And if anybody else has any questions or comments?
Fine with it, as long as Jeff's good with it.
We do a vote for a minor modification, just to have it on file. We don't need to
There's
recommend.
a motion for a minor modification, as long as contingent to conservation and Jeff Walsh approval.
So moved.
You're a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Okay, so we have an A&R plan for 18 and 19 Rawson Farm Drive.
Good evening, Mark Allen Engineering here.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. I'm going to try to share my screen. It's pretty straightforward. Let's see here. Can everybody see that plan?
Yep, we have it in front of us as well.
Okay. So one minor change, the previous lot line when the subdivision was first approved was in this location here. It's kind of denoted in a shaded gray line. New property line just has an angle towards the back, and it allows lot 18 to have more buildable area for the house, well, septic system, and driveway. And 19 also, although getting smaller, already had enough area for the development of the house, well, and driveway and septic system. So it's fairly straightforward.
I've got plenty of upland.
Big
Plenty of
both
frontage.
lots.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, do you have any questions? Yeah, all right. Yeah, there's a motion.
I'll make the motion to accept the A&R for 18A Washington Farm Road.
That's gonna change both,
18 and 19. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
18A and 19A.
Submit.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, we'll get everything signed, Mark, and, Dylan will let you know when everything's ready for you.
Very much. Have a good night.
Sure, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
43, 45, 49 Uxbridge Road, A&R.
Yes, sir. My name is Rob Knappich, and I'm appearing on behalf of the owner. This site you probably know of. It's on Uxbridge Road or Route 16. It's on the west side of the road, across the street from the marina. It's an improved property. There are 4 buildings on it. And this plan divides the overall 30-something acre parcel into 3 lots, each of which have the required frontage on Uxbridge Road. Yes, sir.
1 second, I'm gonna recuse myself from this.
As I was saying, it is an improved parcel. There's 4 buildings on it. This divides the property into 3 lots. Lot 1 has 2 buildings known as 47 and 49 Uxbridge Road. Lot 2 also has 2 buildings. They're known as 43 and 45 Uxbridge Road. Lot 3 is vacant except for a cell tower. As I said, each of the lots does have the required frontage on Uxbridge Road, a public way, and I believe it does meet the standard for endorsement as an A&R plan.
So this was in front of us before in a different shape. Is that what it was?
Not to my knowledge. I've been with this company for 6 months. I do know that it was the subject of, I think, a site plan approval. That may be what you're thinking of. I don't know a lot about that. It has, to my knowledge, it has not been in front of you to subdivide the property. That's all this.
Subdivided.
Yes.
Subdivided at all. So what's,
Well, I say subdivide, but not in the sense of it being a definitive plan, but divided under A.
so we're breaking out the piece in the front that we're doing, and then the lot
Yes.
back's gonna be another lot. So it's gonna be 2 separate lots. Huh?
Exactly, 3. This is lot 1 with buildings, lot 2 with 2
Got
buildings.
it.
Yeah, and lot 3 is the remaining land, you might call it. We called it lot 3.
Nothing on the land in the back. No.
Correct. There's no proposal to construct anything at this time. It's vacant land, except there is an existing cell tower.
Oh, thank you. I need you to see that.
And Rob, those lot lines, the new lot lines comply with the setbacks, different.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out. So as you can see, we sort of threaded, I'm not sure exactly which one you're pointing to, Frank, but we threaded the lot line between lot 1 and 2, between buildings evenly. And no, as you can see in the zoning chart, they don't. The setback to that lot line is of necessity. As I said, we split it 16.5 feet. I think it is 16 feet, right? Whereas 20 is required. We do cover that, I think, with the note on the plan that says the above endorsement is not a determination as to conformance with zoning regulations. I think the law is pretty well established that a planning board can sign an A&R plan, even if it shows zoning violations, as long as each of the lots has the required frontage, and most planning boards, including presumably you, would require that there's that note. That means that we may have to pursue a variance.
But it hasn't been in front of the zoning.
Correct. It's sort of step 1 in the process.
What's the access as far as getting it?
Yeah, thank you for asking. Each of the lots has its own access directly from Uxbridge Road. So in the case of lot 1, there's a drive that goes from lot Uxbridge Road directly towards, say, that building number 47 on the plan. So right there. With regard to lot 2, there's direct access from Uxbridge Road. It's shown here as a bituminous concrete or asphalt paved way coming right up to the sort of upper area, if you're familiar with the topography, between building 43 and 45. Building 45 also has direct access to Uxbridge Road. But that lot does have its own access. And lot 3 has its own access by way of there's frontage here and there's a gravel drive. At some point, that gravel drive may be improved with a paved way, but for purposes of the A&R plan, it does have direct access to Uxbridge Road, the public way.
So right now, we're not meeting setbacks, is that what you're saying?
In one spot, sir. Yeah, well,
It's not one lot.
yeah. So the lot line, if you follow from Uxbridge Road, separating lot 1 from lot 2, comes up about 91 feet, and then it turns to the north, or say a hard right-hand turn. And as you can see, that line that I'm describing is between the building numbered 47 and the building numbered 45. We kept that line exactly in between the two so that they would each have the same setback to that line. And that number is 16 feet. That's 4 feet less than the required side setback of 20. So in this zoning district, which is the general business zoning district, the side setback requirement is 20 feet. As I said, those two buildings are 16 feet from that lot line. So that's the zoning violation. I should point out, just in the interest of thoroughness, that in addition, the building numbered 45 and the building numbered 49 also do not meet the front yard setback, but of course, they're pre-existing non-conforming structures. They've been there for who knows how long. So I don't really count those, so to speak, as a zoning violation for purposes of this plan. But yes, as you point out, that lot line does sort of create a zoning violation, which may need to vary.
Yeah, is that complicated at all? I think if it's already non-conforming, that it's not supposed to be further non-conforming.
That's why I'm thinking maybe we should get.
Yeah.
We feel free.
What happens after, once this is created, these lots are created? Is there a plan for the lots? They're gonna be separate ownership?
Yeah, they'll be in separate ownership at some point, not immediately, but that is, sure. We looked at, frankly, we could accomplish separate ownership through some sort of condominium. But the simpler approach is to divide the lots.
I would feel better if there was a variance of less, myself personally.
I understand.
We'll keep it clean.
Yeah, well. And I could envision going to the zoning board and having them say, well, the lot doesn't exist yet, so how can we grant a variance? And, quite frankly, I think the proper order of events is the planning board endorsement, which creates the lot, without which there is no zoning violation. And then, and I do think the law supports that, and,
Maybe Paul, what you're saying as far as the law,
I'm sorry, say,
maybe Paul, what you're saying as far as what the law says.
I can, yes. I printed out, and you can have this, I'm just gonna paraphrase from it. So, years ago, for probably 20 years, the Executive Office of Communities and Development published interpretations of the law for the benefit of planning boards and other professionals working in the field. And this is one from October 1984, but still good law, I can confirm that. And the caption is, it's a newsletter essentially from the Executive Office of Communities and Development, as it was then known. Anyway, the caption of this newsletter is endorsing 81P plans showing zoning violations. highlighted some relevant language. Interpreting a case that happens to be called Smalley versus planning. Anyway, the only pertinent zoning dimension for determining whether a plan depicts a subdivision is frontage. Goes on to explain that the court has interpreted the subdivision control law to impose two standards that must be met in order to have a plan endorsed under A&R. The first is that the lots shown on the plan must front on the three types of ways, public ways certified by the town clerk or subdivision road. I don't think anybody would argue that Uxbridge Road is not a way. And the second is that the planning board must determine that there's adequate access to such lots and they have frontage. And you asked the right question about access. I did demonstrate, I think, that they have access and they have frontage. Therefore, a plan showing proposed lots with sufficient frontage and access, but showing some other zoning violations entitled to an endorsement that approval under the subdivision control law is not required. The planning board may add on the plan under its endorsement an explanation to the effect that the planning board has made no determination as to zoning compliance. And it happens that it's this case from which comes pretty much the standard for any A&R plan, where this note, in my experience anyway, always appears. And the note reads, the above endorsement is not a determination as to conformance with zoning regulations. And in this newsletter, in this case, the author gives several suggested, notes, and one of them is just that. So I give that to you for your use and information. But that's my long-winded answer to your question. Is there legal support for it? The short answer is yes. There's no question in my mind that a planning board not only can, but I think must endorse a plan that shows zoning violations as long as each lot has frontage and access.
I can also mention Barry.
Please.
So in the past, you've also signed A&Rs that split land up and then you end up with a lot that says not a buildable lot. Because you're creating a lot that doesn't conform to zoning. So we've done that in the past. This is a little different because we're talking about setbacks instead of creating a large enough lot, right? But it's still a zoning violation. It's on the applicant to create the lots that they're looking for and not create zoning violations if they want to build here or change these buildings in any way. And by creating their own hardship, they can't now claim, oh, because the lots are set up this way, we need a variance for additional side setbacks. That would be creating their own hardship. But if they're just doing this to create these lots and the variance that they seek is just to make sure that the existing property is, remains where it is, they're not changing these buildings, there's no problem there. So you've signed.
Farms wouldn't be able to expand.
Yeah. They can't violate further.
And that A&R
That's on
plan would create that non-conformity.
Right.
And is there a requirement to go in front of the zoning board at that point?
It depends on what they
Or
want
will
to do.
they exist with that non-conformity?
They can exist with that nonconformity
Why they won't change?
as long as they're not changing, altering the structure, trying to build into that 16 feet in an additional way. The evidence against them, if they go to the ZBA and say, we want the variance to do a 1 foot setback, you say, okay, but you created that lot line, so that's on you. And the ZBA wouldn't endorse something, I hope, that shows that the applicant created its own nonconformity. But to sign the A&R and do these 3 lots, you're not allowing them to do anything that is different than what they have already, and it's on the applicant to decide if this is something that will work for them or not.
Yeah, I do. Thank you. I'm curious, you cited the case that supports it, but are there cases that support the contrary?
I'm sorry. think there are cases to the contrary.
No, I'm asking if you cited a case that supports
Yes.
what you're trying to accomplish, are there cases that support the contrary?
I know of no case that says the planning board is entitled to withhold A&R endorsement if the plan shows lots with the adequate frontage and access. I know of no case that says that. They all kind of support that. That's, the court said, hey, this is the crux of, 81P. It's really, your focus is more narrow than what, a lot of people think. It's just frontage and access, even if there are zoning violations. You can caveat it, you can put notes on the plan, which we've done for you. But I know of no case that says the opposite.
The withholding of an A&R is usually about access. It's often the chance that you get to withhold is if they're proving, if they don't have access or you can't really see that the access they're claiming makes sense, then
So
yeah, you
these
should withhold.
access points, are they existing now or you?
They exist now.
They exist now?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so
Yes,
we don't have a problem with sight lines or anything like that.
exactly. Yes, there's a paved access to each of lot 1 and 2 and a gravel access.
So they've all been engineered previously, they were all accepted previously.
Yeah, it's hard to see on this one because there's so much in such a small footprint on the
Yes.
page. It's just a bunch of
Well, that
lines.
was my concern, the access would change.
Yeah.
Jeff to give us.
Yeah.
I did talk to them before coming here to make sure that the access was adequate, yeah.
Based on Dylan's explanation of the. That's good.
And is access for lot 2 by way of an easement over the land of the lot 1?
Yes, it's twofold. So lot 2 has direct access from this paved drive over in the northeast corner, bituminous concrete drive. It comes up and it bends to the south, and there's a large parking area here, so that gives access to lot 2. But we provided this easement, which is that crosshatch region at the northeast corner, as an extra sort of access, just because of the physical layout of it. There is a paved, if you're familiar with it, there's a paved access way here. So the intention is to allow the owner of lot 2 to also use that for direct access, primarily to building number 45. But so lot 2 really has 2 points of access.
Yeah, what it doesn't show is the elevation. The back access to lot 2 goes up the hill and around and comes down. The other one in the front where it's all congested there is hard to tell by the plan. No.
Oh, is that the street view there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that first entrance, is that?
Yeah, so
That goes up.
what you're seeing there is the view from Uxbridge Road, looking at this driveway entrance at the northeast corner of lot 2.
I see.
And then I can go further down.
Thank you. And what you're seeing there is the paved access road between building number 45 on the right and building number 49 on the left. The lot line goes pretty much from the middle of the screen, like on the edge of that. Yeah, right there. Excellent. That's the lot line. So the easement for the benefit of lot 2 is at 20 or 30 feet or so to the left as you're driving up that driveway.
I guess the question that I would have would be where that line is so close to the building on the right. And it's a common entrance and exit for the 2 buildings, which fall on different lots. Is there a problem there? If you had 2 separate owners of the properties and somebody said, well, you can't drive over there because that's not your lot anymore. You got people coming in and out of the building.
Well, I mean, I take your point, but it's for us to properly document that if and when lot 2 and lot 1 are sold, so that each of those parties knows on whose land the easement is situated and, who has the benefit of it and what may be restrictions, and I could easily envision that some of the restrictions would be that there wouldn't be parking on it, because, you know, that's really just for access to lot two. But keep in mind that the issue of access and the called vital access standard that you're charged with overseeing isn't necessarily, in fact, it isn't at all what happens internal to the site. It's really limited to, can you get to the lot from the public way? And that question is based mostly on the interest, your interest and the public interest in safety. Emergency vehicles.
Exactly.
Can emergency vehicles get to the lot? So viewed from that perspective, I think it's pretty clear that the answer is yes in each case. Each lot has access.
Well, take a motion, Joe.
Make a motion that you endorse the A&R plan as to lots 1, 2, and 3. According to the plan, of the code, 341. 43 to 41. Well, lots 1, 2, and 3 that are 43-49, which are all.
Second.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll explain, but we got to go.
That's okay. That's what we're here for. I appreciate your patience and tolerance.
Explanation, Tom. You sold it for
You stuck with me for the next one too.
Okay. I don't have anything.
Yeah, I got that one too.
Oh, 2022 what?
Yeah.
No, you're on. Same bad channel. Let's make sure that I got that on there. I'll hang on then. Okay. And I will announce that I have.
We're endorsing, they're not making any decisions based on your people here, you know.
Okay,
Everyone
Yeah.
get one, did I skip anyone?
thank you. Trying to be cautious.
I'm the butter to the property.
So we're looking at an A and R, putting the points in Washington.
Yes. So this relates to Dylan's comment actually concerning the notation not a buildable lot. The situation here is that there's an existing lot, 22 Washington Street, in the rural residential zoning district. And that, as you probably know, the dimensional requirements in that district are 60,000 square feet of area and 200 feet of frontage. So this plan divides 22 Washington Street into parcel A and parcel B. Parcel A is 60,304 square feet, which satisfies the minimum area requirement. Parcel A has 150 feet of frontage on Washington Street. It has that much frontage now, it's going to have that much frontage after. In other words, even though it's a pre-existing non-conforming lot of frontage, this plan does not reduce that frontage. So that is parcel A. Parcel B is in the rear. It's a 30,000 square foot parcel. It's captioned not a buildable lot. And I think the note is in the plan that says as much. Yes. So I represent the owner of the budding property, a company called Determination Inc. And the intention here is to convey parcel B to the Determination Inc. parcel. As Dylan had mentioned, it's labeled not a buildable lot, and that's because parcel B does not have any frontage on Washington Street. But presumably this is not an unusual situation to you where parcel is created for purposes of conveying to an abutting landowner. And that's really all this plan does.
What's the intent? What's the intent? Just curious.
Parcel B, it has to do with permitting for
um, uh, related project on the abutting land.
How so?
Well, this requirement for a certain radius around the well, and that's parcel B helps to create that radius.
Need 200 feet of clearance for a public works.
What's that?
Need 200 feet of clearance for a public works.
Yeah.
I mean, that has nothing to do with it. It just would, as long as you're conveying this land, and there's enough land in that other lot,
Yes,
land, frontage. Right?
yeah, parcel A is, the size of parcel A is being reduced, of course, because of creating parcel B, but not below the minimum required. The minimum required is 60,000, parcel A has 60,304.
Okay, well, I guess is there any other there's any questions, I'm not gonna vote, but I can.
I'll make a motion to approve the have as presented, creating parcels A and B at 20 and 20 Washington Street, Mendon, Mass.
Second.
All in favor?
Thanks, folks. Much appreciated. Hopefully, I'll come back tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll sign everything and then she'll let you know when it's ready.
Great.
Thank you.
Good night.
46 Misco Road.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Jeff Stevens. I'm a land surveyor with Berger and Hellon. I want to thank Attorney Knappich for setting the table for me. This is an approval not required plan. Emerson and Beverly White live at 46 Misco Road. They have 120 acres on the top of the hill. They have no desire to see the land developed. So they intend to split off 10 acres with their existing house they lived in for 10 years and convey remaining 110 acres to the Sudbury Valley trustees as permanent protected open space. The house is in Mendon. It's a pre-existing non-conforming lot in regard to frontage for the entire 120 acres. But we have a note on the plan saying that endorsement of the plan does not assume compliance with the zoning regulations. There's nothing we can do about the frontage. It is what it is. And there'll be no additional building. It's a matter of permanent protected open space. The majority of the land is in Upton. So we hope to get endorsement tonight from Mendon, with the Mylar to the Upton Planning Board tomorrow at their meeting. And the Whites would like to close with the Sudbury Valley trustees by the end of the year. So we're asking for endorsement for the plan. There are two sheets. One sheet shows the detail around the buildings. They're identical in terms of boundary, the proposed lots. The red line is the approximate town line, and the yellow is the property involved. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
But where is the lot? Where are they taking the land out from the house? Oh, 108 acres is non-parcel BOV and not a building lot,
Right.
and they're gonna keep all this.
They're gonna keep the 10 acres with the house and the pond.
Yeah.
Right. And the Sudbury Valley trustees are going to get an easement through the White's property to get to that back land for their own
But
access.
they do have the frontage. No? 363 feet, no?
Well, I think there's some question as to where the public right of way of Misco Road ends.
Okay.
So this part would
So
be,
where you're entering.
it's in Mendon.
Oh, they're saying Misco Road ends right there halfway through their driveway? No, so it wouldn't even be that, right?
It's,
12 feet, so you got 6 feet?
The driveway.
yeah, it's a unique situation.
That's how they did it. No, it's an easy situation. That's how they did it years ago.
It's a beautiful area.
Yeah, it is. It is very nice up there. Yeah, I guess. They're giving everything to open space. and they keep it a little bit for themselves? How do you,
What, just out of curiosity, what's the access and easements on the drive?
That's the only access to parcel B, which is the Sudbury Valley
Oh,
trustees.
there's gonna be a trailhead there presumably or something if they.
I'm not sure, that's a negotiation between the Whites and the trustees. I'm not sure about public access. I don't say it's gonna be public access, but the trustees want to get to their land. That's the only way.
And that's existing right now. the ground.
No, that is going to be, the driveway is there. The easement will be part of the conveyance.
That would go through like the front yard of the property.
Basically, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well,
it's-
this
it's
is
an
the
old-
driveway that goes to the house. Yeah, but that gravel driveway is there to access the barn,
Yeah,
right? I do know that.
Yeah.
I've been there years ago, but.
Yeah.
So they're gonna do an existing gravel or that's all the way, there's that gravel driveway goes out
that
back?
gravel driveway kind of dead ends at the stone wall.
Okay.
It's
So
flat, it's in
your
good
question,
shape.
Fran, would be that the driveway is there. Is that what you were asking?
Just whether it's existing.
Yes, it exists,
And I think that's been there for years.
yes. Yeah, and this open space ties up to some of the other open space nearby, near Rossum Farm Drive. So I think it's win-win for Mendon.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion, so the, 46 Musco Road, and present.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Good night.
So we'll pick up the line tomorrow. Then we're gonna break everything and thank you all very much.
All right, thank you. Let's just do some sign.
Everything's in that red folder.
What did you do? Did you give this Daniel's stamp name?
I don't want to sign. You do this.
I have to get in touch with Gail. She knows how to get all that.
I did make the note. I have a reminder in my phone.
Yeah, we're gonna get in touch with Gail, because she has all the companies, codes and everything.
Since she had this job for like years and
Yeah.
years, she definitely has all their
I
contact
think she
info.
handmade them herself, huh?
Well, no, she probably did.
So we do it.
He's gonna give the John Hancock on that.
It doesn't look like much, so.
You're also, you're,
Yeah,
Special time.
oh, wait. Oh, wait.
You
Yeah, I'm gonna say that. You can take a look at that. That matters.
get
You can close the meeting while you sign. You don't have to sign during the meeting.
So,
some.
you got to sign on my list.
How you stamp them? What other?
Do whatever you want.
Yeah, sign everything the way it was selected.
All right, so,
Stamp it.
You guys can close the meeting. You don't have to sign during the meeting. Is it open to me?
there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Shut her down.